Hello, hello, hello. Happy Thursday. How is everyone doing? Good morning, Sterling. Good morning, John. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Bull Strike Cheetah. Good morning, Jake. Good morning, McRangers. Good morning, Jacob. Uh, Good morning, PMG. Good morning, Connor. Yeah, it's up on the earnings. Sterling put in the earnings. They were a beat. Still, I'm watching for a little pullback now. It's actually gapping. Unless we close above a mini 62 and a half, I'll still then watch for a pullback. But I mean, it was nice to see him at least beating revenue. What do we got going on? Oh, thank you for tuning in, everybody. By the way, good morning, Royal Palms. Yeah, I apologize for the dogs in the background. We just have landscapers showing up right now. So we might hear a lot of dog noise in the background. I'm sorry about that. Other than that, what else do we have going on this morning? We had the Chicago Fed National Activity Index coming in into contraction mode. We had initial jobless claims down from consensus, down from prior, but still about 220K. Continuing jobless claims climbing. What else we have coming out? We have the global composite S&P manufacturing and services coming in at 15 minutes after the cash open. Again, all expected to still be in expansion, but just barely. We have existing home sales. We have 4 and 8 week bill auctions. We have the 10-year tips auction, and we have Kansas City Fed Composite and Williams speaking. Yesterday, the 20-year auction did not go well. Did not go well, and that triggered a pretty big sell-off yesterday after hitting a key level that I pointed out that I was watching. Hello, Charles. So today, I mean, most of the stuff's going to be out this morning, and then I'm going to be watching to see if we're going to put in. Why is that's from? How do you say that? That's from the Kobish. I don't know how to say that. The Kobishi letter. Why is everything breaking with them? Like, sun came up, breaking, sun came up. Everything's breaking with them. Why? It's just news. It's not like, okay, we're getting rid of pennies. It's not like earth shattering. Everything's breaking. Everything's breaking. Oh boy. This morning we have things turning around with bid getting in under the mega caps, except for Tesla. UNH continues its pullback after its bounce. And that's about it in terms of sectors. Let's just refresh this because it's changed. We have comm services now leading. Who is leading that? With Google. Google, which was a little rocket ship yesterday, continuing to improve today. Comm services and then technology, healthcare utilities on the lagging end. FedWatch still has 2 rate cuts for this year. We're still solving in greed. Schiller PE pulling back just below 36 with the price action yesterday. We had Snowflake Zoom yesterday. Snowflake was a gap up on their earnings. We had Advanced Auto Parts. Sterling already put that in from this morning. That was probably the biggest one I was watching. We had Analog Devices, which I think Analog Devices, if I'm not mistaken, was up this morning. Yeah, ADI was up 3.15%. After the close of the day, we got Autodesk, Intuit, and then tomorrow we really don't have much besides Booz Hamilton. All right. So there we go with the breaking again. I'm so tired of seeing that word. Here's where we are. Yesterday, here was the sell-off. Remember, I pointed out there while I was watching the second target area. If you want to refresh, just go back and listen to yesterday's live stream I was watching. We had the little double bottom was triggered, ran up to the second target area. Then we had the sell-off. The sell-off from the poor 20-year auction. So this morning, if I'm going to get it all bullish besides a little bounce here, we've got to sustain above 58.70. We got to sustain above 58.70. Then I'll still be paying attention. It would be into the 4-hour rotation zone. Okay, and there are a couple little key areas. I would personally not overly aggressive to the upside just yet because we still have the rotation zone. We have a couple key areas that has to get through, including 59, just above 5,900 and 59.15. So we'll be watching this little area going into the open. If we do roll over, I'm really paying attention to about 58.15 to 58.25 for a key support area. If that's broken, we don't have much back until like the 57.25 area. So that's exactly what I'm. Thanks, Bull Straight Cheetah. So, well, Trump's not going to be happy with the higher for longer, especially interest rates, because he'll probably still be jawboning the Fed to continue to cut, but that does not affect the long end of the curve unless he expects them to buy it all and pull a Japan. NASDAQ, key level, we've bounced back here. This 21,210 area. That's what I'm watching for it to sustain above. We have to sustain above that to get any kind of short-term bullish bounce. Then again, if you're looking, I'd be looking at the next key level about 21.3 and then 21.364 to the upside. If we roll over and can't sustain here, I'll be watching this little spike reversal around 21,100 to about 21,080. And if that does not sustain, I'm all the way back at 20,975 to 21,000 to look for another potential bottoming formation. Remember, we are in the daily rotation zone. We finally pulled back into it. So I'll be watching for the rotation plays up. But we have to get above some key levels and sustain them before I get aggressive on it. Pull back to the bottom of the rotation zone in the Dow. The little key area on the Dow is get sustaining above about 41,900. Then if you're looking for upside targets like on the Dow, just like I did on the NASDAQ, I'd be using your retracement harmonics if this low does hold. Or that's exactly how I'd set up my charts. The Russell, which was down the most yesterday, again, that was one for shorts that I'm focusing on, and then for longs, it's the NASDAQ and the S&P on bounce plays. Russell coming back down, dipping below the rotation zone in the 50, but still trading just above it and at a minor key level. So, but this is the last one I look for on the bullish side. As you can see, it hasn't even regained this 2055 area, which is what it has to regain before I start getting at all bullish on it. Or we have to have a bottoming pattern, which we don't have yet. VIX, not much to talk about, just a little spike up and already reversing back down. Again, there's a lot of support level in here. I'm going to be watching for the next rollover play if it's going to form a stronger bottoming formation. Also, back to the S&P and NASDAQ, I'm going to be watching this next little bounce is going to be key. Well, we can talk about that more tomorrow if we put in more of a bottoming formation today. But this next secondary reaction is going to be key in the short term. Yields. Oh, let me get to DAX real quick. Nothing's really changed. Still holding the rotation zone. The only thing that would shift is, yes, it is still a valid potential double, I believe. Let me double check that. I did not double check that this morning yet. It might not. No, it's not. No more double. I stand corrected. No more double. So there is no topping formation in here just yet. No significant one besides we're getting some stair-stepping divergences. But we're still in with the rotation zone in favorable structure, and we're still above the prior breakout level. So any pullback in here, I'd still be looking for buying opportunities. Now, on to the notes, a little pullback now after the unemployment, but you can see the spike up yesterday. I'm still watching for a reconnection with at least 4.68. We've holding the rotation zone, continue to climb. Just a little minor pullback here, and there is no potential double top or anything. So just going to be watching for pullback in the yields and then rotations back up. If you look at the 30-year back above 5.1. So we hit some very key resistance up here from back in October of 23. But if we break above there, to watch out. Watch out, and I'm expecting it to. After we get a nice little reaction, the first little reaction here, I'm expecting it to plow through there over the next couple weeks. We shall see, though. Dollar index. Dollar index. Now I'm watching again. We did not close below 62.5. I said yesterday I was watching now to see if we closed below that. We did not. So now I'm watching with cycles at the bottom, just shy of oversold conditions. I'm watching for a bottoming pattern going into tomorrow. Now, if we break above yesterday's high and sustain and close above it, it is a % B buy. Not really expecting that, but we shall keep an eye on it. Crude has confirmed a double top, but not triggered it. And I need a follow through with a daily close. You can see even on a 4 hour, if you want to be a little more aggressive, there's no close on the 4 hour even. So if this does roll over, if you're aggressive mode, I need at least a close on a 4 hour basis below this 60.47 and preferably a follow through with a daily close. It is confirmed though. Could that be a 1 hour double bottom on the NASDAQ? I just use your harmonics. I would not use that. It's really lopsided right here. It's completely staggered this way. Wouldn't force that. I just use your harmonics. And by harmonics on the little short move, if you wanted to do something on a breakout above, I'd still be using that 21,210 area. But again, I just be looking at around 21.3, 21.364 as key targets the upside. So, Jake, there you go. What else do we have here? What else? Gold. Gold. Going to be interesting to see if this is a ABC correction that did trigger the double and held. So far, it's turned into a corrective flagging pattern. So going to be keeping an eye on that, but still watching for rollovers with daily cycles back to the top. And nothing is invalidated with the double yet, but it may be turning into a channeling double. So that's why I'm keeping close eyes on there. 40-year in Japan keeps climbing. That's at some point going to get very, very interesting. And same thing here. The yen did not close below the most recent 62.5, so I'm still watching for a bottoming formation for a short-term bounce there. Euro. Pattern still not invalidated, but watching for a rollover play, especially if we close below yesterday's low. Spiders. We have, let's see, we're trading 582.85. We're trading just around yesterday's close right now. On a rally, pay attention to 588 area. Yesterday's key open, 588.44 is what I'd be looking for. And then I'd use the harmonics from the highs back on Monday to if the lows hold from either this morning or yesterday. Other than that, on a continued pullback, 575.25 is very, very key. The Qs. The key on any pullback still about 509.50. We're trading 513.92 above yesterday's open. So on any rollover, it'd be first 513.04 for the gap fill. And on a rally, we're still looking for the key resistance being about 517, besides fine-tuning it with harmonics. Bitcoin broke out to new highs. We could be setting up for exhaustion patterns, though. Going to be watching closer for that about around 113.700 to see if we start getting very overbought cycles at the top on the weekly, and we could still climb a little more on the daily, but we're very overbought and we're coming into a key harmonic area. So would I be chasing it higher at this point? No, I would not. What else do we have? Can we look at Walmart? After I say good morning to Heinrich. Walmart. we do have a little mini sloppy double because it's a little lopsided here, but so I'd be watching this key reversal day from earnings on a close below that low. Then I'd start watching for the bigger pullback. Other than that, you still have the 87.5 rule in place. The only thing that would put a damper on that is a close below that low because it would trigger a sloppy double top. Now, do you have on the bigger picture, do we have a bigger potential double top? Yeah, we do. But that's a long way off from triggering. But that is a completely valid weekly double top. Now, what does Sterling have in here? LVMH is warning that luxury demand remains soft, particularly in China. Okay. Thank you for putting that in, Sterling. I did not see that earlier. Other than that, we have Google, or Alphabet. Sorry, I'll still always call it. I'm watching for it to sustain above the 200. It could not close above that yesterday, but I'm still watching for it to sustain above this 171 level. And then I needed to follow through with a eventual close above 182 to potentially put in a, it's rallied back, but it's still got a little lifting to do. And then I'll be watching for buy setups, pullback buy setups for a potential run higher. I'd be interested to hear your update thoughts on strategy. Strategy, you don't want to know my thoughts on strategy. Besides, all it is buy Bitcoin, leverage Bitcoin. That's micro strategies, or as they call it, strategy. Other than that, if you want to play Bitcoin, I just purely play Bitcoin. I would not. At some point, this is going to blow. He's going to blow it up again, just like he did in the .com. So that's where that sits. I have to call this one early and deal with before the open the landscapers. Sorry about that. Take a look at Hood. Let me just take a look at that quickly, and then we'll have to call this an early one. And Robinhood also has a massive, I don't even know if that'd be valid, but we'll check it out. It's up against very key resistance. Technically cannot trade that as a double. Technically can't trade that as a double. Well, let's take a look at the short. They're against very key resistance after the run up here. I mean, there is no topping pattern except against key resistance. So on any pullback, I'd still be watching for reactions with the rotation zone unless it managed to close back below 56. All right. Have you gone through Tesla? No, I haven't. Tesla is just in a sideways consolidation pattern trying to hold the rotation zone. Still, this is just a sideways pattern it's breaking down from. There is no significant pattern, although it couldn't get above the 50% harmonic. I'm going to be watching as it pulls back in the rotation zone for any bounces and then rollovers if it can't get above about 334 again. I can't overly get bearish until it starts breaking below the rotation zone. So, other than that, from a bullish perspective, remember it couldn't get above the 50%, and I can't be bullish unless it closes above 385.68. I'm still watching for rollover plays in that. All right, with that, I got to jump for now. Sorry about the shortened session today. Let's just peek at the S&P heading into the open. Again, nothing's changed. Still 58.70 is watching for any bullish plays. For it has to break above that and confirm that that's back to support before I'll start really looking for any bullish moves, unless we rotate back down and the key lows hold, and we'll get a bottoming pattern. That's where I sum it up today. I will be back here tomorrow to wrap up the week, and I'll talk to everyone later. Bye for now.